Yes, yes, yes. It is the CastWorthy podcast back at you. I am Big Steve, aka Last of a Dying Breed, joined with the VP of Research, and Senor E is back at it with us this fine evening, gentlemen. How you guys doing during this pandemic?
Trying to survive, man.
Like literally.
Staying healthy? Hands dried out and shit from all the alcohol sanitizer.
Just trying to make it, man.
I think in the last 2 weeks, I don't wash my hands more than I have in my whole lifetime.
Right? And then it's like you wash your hands and then your face starts itching.
Yeah. Yep.
So you wash
Start
again.
going like,
Yo, this shit's crazy, man. Yeah, so it's been a while since we've been on, man. About 20 days since we last potted. So definitely necessary for us to get some content out there. Glad you guys are staying healthy during this pandemic. As always, CastWorthy Podcast, you can search for us anywhere you get your podcasts, anywhere you find your content. Spotify, Spreaker, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. Just search CastWorthy, CastWorthy, and we are there. We'll take your feedback, we'll take your comments, we'll take your questions. Listen, man, just take a moment to listen. And if you don't laugh or you don't learn, then we're not doing our job. But I guarantee you listen to any one of our episodes, you'll either learn something or you laugh at something. So that's what we're here for. So yeah, man, let's get right to the shits, man. VP, I want to hear. We haven't really had too much dialogue, but I'd like to hear your take on how old Donnie T is handling this whole pandemic.
Man,
please do.
With in times like this, I feel like a lot of people, including myself, you want to rally around the flag, right? And you're hoping that this guy's going to do, what's best for the country and things like that. But that doesn't seem to be the case. It seems like he's doing what's best for him. So, a lot of times when I think about what Trump's doing, I try to make sure I check my bias just because I don't like him. I didn't vote for him. I won't vote for him in 2020. So I try to check my bias. But everything that Trump has done so far during this pandemic has been a disaster. I mean, it's no other way to put it, man. Like from minimizing the coronavirus when it first started in China to not taking the tests that the World Health Organization offered us, which put us behind other countries in testing, which allowed the coronavirus to then spread throughout the United States. Yep. To telling people that, oh, it's just like the flu, nothing to see here, that kind of thing. It's like every step that he's taken, it's almost like he goes in and says, what is the worst possible thing I can do? And then he does that, So yeah, man, I think it's been a disaster. You hear the governors begging him to, get involved to get things done for them. And he's not doing it. And then he literally said at the press conference on, I want to say it was either Thursday or Friday, that, he's told Mike Pence, the vice president, to stop talking to the governor in Michigan. Why? Because she's not kissing his ass when she goes on TV. She's saying, things like, hey, this dude is not giving us what we need in the state of Michigan. Like, what the fuck's going on, And he doesn't like that. So he's telling the vice president, hey, when the governor calls because she needs something, don't talk to her. Fuck her. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, you don't gotta like her, but the people, the citizens of her state are your constituents, regardless if they voted for you or not. Like you're our president. You know what I'm saying? And so you can't just say, fuck these states where the governor isn't kissing my ass. He did the same thing for the state of Washington, because Jay Inslee, the governor in Washington State, was criticizing him. Mm-hmm. And so again, man, at the end of the day, I think Trump on the coronavirus has been a complete disaster. We would be doing better off if he just shut the fuck up and let somebody else, run point on this thing, because he's not allowing himself to be guided by the science and by the medicine and by the doctors. It's what can I do that's going to make me look best politically, and everything else be damned.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I completely agree. It's the biggest thing going for him was the economy. I've talked to people. I'm sure you've talked to people. Our listeners, I'm sure, have talked to people that are like, yeah, okay, yeah, he's a jerk. Yeah, he's stupid. Yeah, he's this, he's that. But look at my 401k, right?
Mm.
Now everybody's like, yeah, he's that and everything. And look at my freaking 401k, right? So like
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So his golden ticket is like gone right now. So he's trying to do everything possible, and he knows that. So he's trying to do everything possible to basically damn everything else and try to kickstart the economy again, at the cost of our safety. You know what I mean? So he's throwing it's it's so obvious to me, what he's doing. Um, but he's so all over the place with what he's saying and his predictions and his leadership that it's hurting him anyway, because the economy is doing this roller coaster every time he goes to speak. What did he say? He wanted to basically take restrictions away or lift restrictions. What was it, Easter, right?
Yeah.
And now he's walked that back and tried to say April 30th, which is probably still soon. I don't even know the legality of all that anyway, because like it's not like he can like take Cuomo and say, all right, everything's lifted. Every restriction that Cuomo put in place in New York is lifted now. He doesn't have the power to do that. Am I right?
Nope, he doesn't.
Yeah.
That's the thing with Trump, is that he just says stuff, right? And like
Exactly.
he keeps saying, like, I want to open up the country by this date. And that kind of thing is up to the mayors of these different localities and the governors of these states. So Trump saying that he wants the country opened up, like, what the hell does that even mean? He wants the country opened up by Easter or April 30th or whatever, is merely a suggestion, because it's up to the governors and the mayors of these particular states and localities.
That means action needs to be taken. I mean, you're putting a bold. You're saying something extremely bold. That means you need to have the action to follow. There needs to be, people in place. There needs to be ventilators in place. There needs to be, makeshift hospitals. I mean, like, we talked about it. We, that video that you sent to the group, and it was similar to the same, very similar to what I was saying. As far as locking off the border to get, keep people out of certain states, and just renting, or leasing out the nearest fucking hotel, the largest hotel that's within a mile, and people trying to cross the state border. If you have an ID from that state, you got to go quarantine there 14 days before you can go any further. And if you don't have the state ID, you get turned and sent the fuck back. Like, that's the only way that, a governor, and DeSantis, I know you guys probably feel just the same, that he's not doing as, that great, and as you start to look at it, for me, when I first started, I was like, man, he's not doing such a bad job, for what we expected, right? Because he's a good friend of Trump, and you just expected a full out shit show for the state of Florida, and he's done decent stuff. But I think, VP, and you made it really evident that that he just hasn't been doing the best thing for us here in Florida, and all three of us are here. So that's obviously where our concern is. Do you think that people, and I hear, I know you guys do feel, I know VP, at least you do, and a lot of people feel like Cuomo is, handling things excellent. Do you think people are jumping out of the window a bit when they say that he, based on how he's handling this, he would be a good candidate for presidency?
Nah, I mean, Cuomo is, a lot of people thought Cuomo would run in 2020, and he ended up not running for whatever reason. I don't know if he was thinking maybe having two New Yorkers, on the ballot with him and Trump wouldn't be a good idea or something like that. But for whatever the reasons were,
And de Blasio on the other side.
Yeah. So whatever his reasons, he didn't run. But during this coronavirus thing, and Cuomo is somebody who a lot of Democrats didn't like him. Democrats in New York, the Democrats in DC, across the country, a lot of people did not like him because he ran a certain way, saying that he was going to be really progressive, and he hasn't governed that way. And but throughout this coronavirus pandemic, he's been getting nothing but high marks from people because he's going out there and he's showing leadership, right? And it's not just about giving people all these flowery updates. We're in a pandemic. That means that it's going to be bad. People are going to feel pain. You know what I'm saying? And Cuomo's going out there every day saying, hey, the doctors and the scientists are telling me this is what we should expect. I got to shut the state down. Even on the day that he announced that he was shutting everything down in the state except for, essential things like, pharmacies and, food and stuff like that. He was like, if you want somebody to blame because I shut the state down and you lost your job, or, this thing that you were going to do got canceled, whatever. He was like, blame me. Don't blame your mayor. Don't blame your state representative. Don't blame your state senator. Don't blame your county executive. Blame me. This is my decision, and I'm basing it on X, Y, and Z, and that's what leadership is. People want to be told what the fuck's happening. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And yeah, there's gonna be some pain, but most people feel like, I'm gonna be able to get out of it on the other side, right? But I gotta make it to the other side first. And how am I gonna make it if the person in charge keeps telling me bullshit? Trump went on TV and told people that they can take this medication, right? That medication, he was like, it's been approved by the FDA. That's not true. The FDA had to put a statement out later saying, no, we haven't approved that. So
like immediately.
So this couple in Arizona took that medication, and the husband died, and the wife's in fucking ICU fighting for her life because they're getting medical advice from Trump, because some people still believe the president, right? He's the president. People who are smart as shit are telling him these things, and that's why he's telling it to us, right? But you can't fucking trust this guy, yo.
Yeah.
Nope.
I think
Steve, you brought up a good point with the well, you both bring up a good point. VP, you're basically saying what we're missing right now is leadership, right? So this guy doesn't have it. We all know that he doesn't have it, and it's like evident, it's on display. But something as simple as the suggestion with the hotels, which are all hurting right now because travel is like banned all over the place. So these hotels are like at zero occupancy or very low occupancy. They would welcome, striking up a deal with the government for it doesn't, it could be pennies on the dollar. It's something, it's better than nothing. And then they could still kind of semi-staff and still have some people go to work instead of being furloughed. Anything like that would require the president to have, I don't know, I'm like thinking outside of the box. I know it's like simplistic thinking, but I never heard of a summit with, we got all these states. I mean, you can basically get a summit with all the governors and go through each one and say, hey, what do you guys need? Where are you hurting? Where are you hurting? What counties are safe? What counties are hot spots? And maybe even try to say, okay, the economy is okay to work here. We can have lighter restrictions here than there. Try to get some type of cohesive plan with all the states and all the governors, and show some type of effort to mitigate the situation. Because I understand that, the hard bullet to bite is just flat out saying, which I think what you should have did from the beginning was saying, listen, we need to just across the board shut everything down from from March until June, so that we don't like bleed slowly, that we basically just rip the Band-Aid off, put everything at a very basic economic capacity or opening in business and stuff like that. And basically, we'll try to see if we can come out of this in June and build again. But all he's trying to do is just, like I said before, the economy is his golden ticket. It's the only way he's going to get reelected. And he's trying to do anything he can to open up businesses to help stock market. It's obvious, and there's no leadership at all.
Right. And the thing is that, right, when there's a crisis, like, you got to have leaders. You look back to World War II, right? And we entered World War II like out of the blue because of everything that happened at Pearl Harbor. And yeah, it's easy to say, well, the country should have been getting ready because the rest of the world was at war. So what the hell are we doing all those years that World War II was happening before we entered it in 1941, right? Okay, whatever. But FDR comes in, Franklin Delano Roosevelt comes in and says, okay, we don't have enough tanks, we don't have enough planes, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Hey, Ford, GM, you don't make cars no more. You make planes, you make tanks. That's it. That shit wasn't legal back then, right? But he just did it. And everybody rallied around the flag and they said, okay, we make planes and tanks now. And they did it, right? So in the 50s, the Congress puts in place the Defense Production Act, which gives the president the power to do this now, right? Every day that I watch the news, you see governors, mayors, hospital executives saying, we need PPE, right? Personal protective equipment. They need gowns and masks and all this stuff like that. Trump has invoked the Defense Production Act, but he just basically, he just went on TV and said it. I'm invoking it, but he hasn't done anything, right? How hard would it be with all these businesses shut down, like E is saying, to go to Levi's? Yo, you make scrubs now. Polo, you make face masks now. This company that, another apparel company, this is what you make now. And start mass producing fucking PPE. You go to Ford, GM, all these different tech companies out there or whatever. You need to make ventilators. You need to do this. You need to do, you know what I'm saying? But Trump don't want to do that. He wants the headline. So he says, I'm going to invoke the Defense Protection Act. The media goes crazy. Oh, wow, he's doing it. Whoa, leadership. But then where's the acts behind it? For him, it's just a bunch of words.
So I heard that a couple of days ago that he did do that with GM as far as like the ventilators, and told them that they,
No. He went on Twitter and said Ford needs to start making ventilators now. This shit, these types of things have legal ramifications behind them. Ford is a publicly traded company. They don't take orders from fucking Twitter. You know what I'm saying? Right. They have shareholders and shit like that. So for them, they probably need some type of signed shit from the government saying, hey, under, US 1234 subsection 6, you got to do this, signed by the president. And then they take it to their legal counsel, who says, yeah, the shit's legit. You got to go ahead. They don't take orders from Twitter.
If he was the leader, he would have already discussed it with him, and it already would have been agreed before he put out that tweet. But he doesn't do that.
Right.
He just says shit like he's a freaking dictator.
Exactly. Like he did that shit with the when Trump first banned transgender people from joining the military. He sent out a tweet. You know what I'm saying? Like, the people who can join the military is shit that's like enshrined in law. You know what I mean? Like the government doesn't work that way where you send out fucking tweets, dog. Like, come on, bro.
Yeah, man. So, all right. So one thing that I said is, the whole stimulus. Well, before we get there, what are the today? I know we were kind of talking about it. What are the approximate numbers? Obviously, they're going to change pretty quickly, probably within the hour. But as of right now, what are our approximates for the U.S. here for cases and deaths?
So I looked at it right before we started recording, and it was about 140,000 plus cases and about 2,500 deaths in the U.S.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, we're number one.
Yeah.
Number one.
I'm fucking tired of winning right now.
Yep. You know what I like, the site I look at, what I keep focusing on is the new cases. So I've got a site that's it's a list by where's my camera at? I don't know if you guys can see that. I guess it's reverse anyway, but it's by country, right?
I think
You
I
see
saw
that?
that.
Yeah. So this is what I've been tracking for like the last 3 weeks or so, and how we've skyrocketed up here. But the new cases, 18,000. Compared to Italy, 5,000, China 0 right now, and Spain 6,000, so forth and so on. Like our new cases are like far and beyond any other country on this list.
Right. And you know what's crazy about that, E, is that everything that's happening in New York. New York is just like in a league of their own as far as cases in the United States. But
Yep.
the place that's starting to become a hotspot in the U.S. is Louisiana, because
Really?
when the coronavirus shit was first popping off and people were saying, we got to avoid large crowds, yada, yada, yada. The president was saying, hey, there's nothing to see here. Just keep doing what you do.
Yeah.
And
Mardi
they went
Gras.
ahead and had Mardi Gras. And now those what do you, those chickens are coming home to roost, basically, because the cases in fucking Louisiana are exploding, faster than, as far as like a percentage, like faster than they were in New York. And that's going to be the next epicenter in the United States. And not to mention all the people who went to New Orleans for Mardi Gras and then went back to wherever they came from, So, this shit is going to get out of control, man. And you have to have leadership from the top. You got to have it. Like, somebody has to be in charge to tell people like what the fuck is happening, what the fuck to do, and on and on. And we don't have that right now.
No. So I think, the silver lining obviously is our mortality rate is extremely low. 1%, 1.7% is not horrible in comparison to, obviously, I think Italy was somewhere about 8 or 9%. China was somewhere about 4 or 5%. So that's the slight silver lining. But obviously we'll see that raise. But, I think, again, and it goes back to when you speak leadership, we have.
Can I just cut you off real quick though? So you're right in what you're saying with the 1%, right? But today, Dr. Fauci, the dude who's in charge of the National Institute of Health's infectious disease department, they said that cases could get somewhere between 1 to 2 million people. 1% of 1 million, we're talking about 100,000 people that could die from this. You know what I'm saying? So the shit is gonna be bad, man. But sorry to cut you off. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, and then again, we go back to, we go back to leadership. We go back to your approach as a leader, right? And, he's thinking, like E was speaking, he's thinking economy, because that was the only thing that he's been building his 4 years on, right? So he's thinking stimulus. Let's give money. Let's try and fix people with this little bit of stimulus money. What they really should have done is they should have mass produced test kits, and they should have sent test kits to every single household. They should have shut the whole fucking country down for 14 days minimum and said, hey, these fucking kits are coming U.S. or fucking priority mail. You should get them in 3 days. And every household that shows up in the census needs to be tested. And then you reply whether you are positive, you have someone positive in your household or not, right? And then you just continue to fucking treat those people and quarantine those people as best as you can, right? But without doing that, you're gonna have people that are carriers. You're gonna have people that they have it, and their immune system is so strong that they're not gonna see symptoms, or they're not gonna get knocked down, or feel weak or broken, or or tired, or or sick. and they're going to pass it to the next person. So they're just not getting tested. So the little $1,200, I don't think people understand that. That's just enough to make you feel good right now on the front end for people that lost their jobs, but long term, that shit's not going to help.
Right. And E probably can speak better to this, given the work that he does. But part of the problem with Trump, with his lack of understanding of almost everything, is that usually when you go into a recession, when the economy retracts, it's because there's something wrong with the economy. Like in 2008, we had a big housing bubble, right? In this case, there's nothing wrong with the economy. The economy's doing fine. There's just no economic activity because
Right.
people are staying home. So what was the point of sending out $1,200 checks to people? Here again is leadership. Why not come in and say, hey, we're in a fucking crisis right now. So nobody is going to be evicted from their homes or foreclosed on their mortgage. Nobody's car is going to be repossessed because there ain't going to be nobody out there driving tow trucks right now because we're shutting this shit down.
Right.
Nobody's lights is getting turned off. Nobody's gas is getting turned off. Nobody's phones getting turned off. On and on and on, right? We're going to defer student loan payments, defer that, defer this or whatever, because we're shutting things down. Instead, he says, we're going to send everybody $1,200. And where we live at here in Central Florida, $1,200 doesn't even cover the rent. So like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
and we're cheaper than we're cheaper than places like New York, who fucking,
San Francisco or.
And you would think as a party and being an election year that he would, be smart about it and be like, fuck it, if you're gonna throw money at it, throw the money at it month over month and just say, hey, we're gonna give you $800 up front and then $600 a month for 6 months, right? Because now, 7 months from now or less, when the election comes, people are gonna still be getting that money. Whereas you send this bullshit $1,200 in May, motherfuckers was broke in June. You know what I'm saying? July, August, September, shit's still fucked up. When people go to those polls, they're not going to be thinking about this little bullshit ass $1,200. You know what I'm saying? They're going to be thinking and reverting back to fucking Trump's got us all fucked up. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what the hell they're thinking. And I'm, again, I'm just thinking, strategically, if you're thinking election year, how do I get people on my side that may not be on my side 6 months from now? They're getting $800, whether they're working or not. They might be on my side.
Exactly. But like VP brought up a really good point about that there's nothing inherently wrong with the economy. So that's not the problem. The problem is a scientific problem. That this president and his entire administration and his party is weak on science. They always scoff at it. They always, they don't believe in climate change. They don't believe in any of this stuff. And they were definitely, obviously, even though they tried to walk it back, trying to discredit this entire pandemic when it was starting. That our economy is primarily based off of consumerism. You know what I mean? And we're losing a bunch of that. We make up like most of the tax returns filed are small businesses. A lot of those businesses are like out of business. I own a business. My business has been crickets, obviously, since this is based around travel. None of my clients, I'm keeping in contact with them and stuff, just seeing how they're doing. There's asking me how I'm doing and stuff. I'm not even asking them, hey, is anything happening? Because I know nothing's happening. I know that there's nobody, traveling or going to sporting events. There is no freaking sports. It's which is another thing, man. Oh my God. Hey, just on a light note, did you guys see the article about the 2K simulation and that the Sixers won the championship?
Oh God. Yeah, did you win any money on that?
No.
Nah.
You guys didn't see that? Look it up.
So far from reality, I tell you. So
That's pretty much the only way we're gonna freaking win.
I've seen people betting on that. They actually have Madden simulators that people are betting on. And just the other day, I saw on DraftKings that they have people doing they had contests about League of Legends.
Did they? There was like
Yeah,
on DraftKings they sent out like during the last debate, like how many times Sanders was going to say billionaires and stuff like that. I was like, what?
yeah. I mean, it's like you said, businesses are being impacted, and they got to find a way to stay afloat, because once this is over and it gets back, companies like DraftKings, FanDuel, the people that are selling the content, we're gonna get right when we do get back into it. We were just getting into the point where legal sports betting was coming in, right? So these companies have to try and stay afloat somehow, so that when it comes back, they're not overtaken by people that were sitting there stacking money waiting, and now they're buying in low, while these companies went under and fucking, because
Yep.
they shot their load a little bit early.
Yeah.
It's all about like liquidity. If you had a good liquid position as a company, then you're good. But there's some companies that are not going to recover. Like I pretty much think I'm going to recover because I've been very expense light, and I've retained earnings to last for like situations where I didn't have sales. Now I can't go like 2 years without. I basically set myself up to the point where I don't have to dig into my pocket, and I could just pay my little bit of operating expenses without having to shut down. But I can't go like 2 years without sales, and I think that I don't know, man. I really kind of worry about how long it's going to take for us to recover because we haven't seen anything like this before. Like I said, VP brought up a very good point about there's nothing wrong with the economy. It's just basically businesses weren't allowed to conduct normal transactions because we weren't allowed to be normal in society. No travel, eating. People don't even trust buying stuff from Amazon right now. You know what I mean? It's just so much there's so much business that we've taken for granted that actually did take us to leave our house and interact with people and do a transaction. We always talked about everybody's like in their house and nobody interacts with people anymore, but that's obviously bullshit because we do need to get out of our house in order for the economy to work, and that's just
Yeah.
not happening right now.
Yeah. And then even when you talk about like things to do, like they passed this bill, $2 trillion where, they're going to send these $1,200 checks to people. And then all the rest of it is going, towards hospitals and states and bailouts for businesses. Why the fuck are we bailing out these companies? Like Trump just gave them a tax cut, a $1.5 trillion tax cut, a year and a half ago. And they spent all that money on stock buybacks and bonuses for their CEOs and shit like that, right?
Yep.
Right now, these major corporations have something like $4 or $5 trillion sitting overseas that they don't want to bring back to the US because they'll get taxed on it when they repatriate it, right? So even though I don't necessarily like the idea, but why not say, hey, we'll let you bring that money back without paying taxes on it, but you can't get rid of none of your employees.
Right.
So that way we don't have to worry about the government sending out checks to people to make sure they can pay their bills because they're still going to be employed. Right. But instead of doing stuff like that, they say, now that there's a problem, all the profits that companies makes, those are all privatized. All their problems, though, those are socialized. So we as a country have to take care of their problems, but they get to keep all their money. You know what I mean? And I just think that that's super fucked up, man.
It is super fucked up. You are absolutely right, spot on with this. And that first bill that tried to get passed was obviously it was focused on companies' loss of revenue and earnings per share, and that's all they were focused on there. But instead of G&A, instead of basically, I don't know. I mean, I understand it's not this simple, but you want to say Hey, listen, this money that we're giving you can only go towards G&A, specifically payroll and salaries,
Yep.
and operating expenses, utilities and stuff like that. So you guys can shore up those costs. That's what it can go towards. This is not in any way to offset revenue and manipulate your earnings per share for your shareholders and stuff like that. You cannot do buybacks or anything like that. You have a
Or
loss
you,
of revenue. The entire country has a freaking loss of revenue. That's just gonna happen. But here's the cost of paying these essential items: payroll, salary, payroll liabilities, utilities and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
or you stay out of that money. If you decide to let people go, you're paying the unemployment. The
Exactly.
unemployment comes out of your money, and whatever percentage you have left over after you've paid everybody that you've laid off, or who's filed for unemployment, now you get to keep that percentage. You keep that
Mm-hmm.
fucking 20% or 30%. As opposed to taking the money, putting it towards whatever, but still also paying salaries and keeping people employed, and while they stay home and stay safe or whatever the case is. And that brings me to the point of you know the essential business. I hate the term, essential, because everyone is finding a way to be essential, right? Every business is finding a way to be essential. And I think that comes down to, that should have been something that Trump as a leader laid out clearly. These are essential, right? You're not essential because like a friend of mine works in a company I used to work at where you test water and soils for contaminants. How is that essential, right? So they're testing water, like for the water rides at fucking Disney and shit like that. Well, guess what? Disney shut the fuck down. So you need me to test the water for Disney? We're an essential company. You need me to come to work? You need me to risk spreading this disease? You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
I just feel like they should have outlined essential businesses. The business that I'm in, that I work for, we provide internet. Internet is an essential. It's a fucking it's no longer it's now a necessity, right?
Right.
You have to have internet, and obviously with schools um going virtual and people going to work at home and stuff like that, that's a company. We're necessary, right? And I completely get it, and I completely understand it, and I don't fight it or argue, right? But you have companies out there that are open. You have businesses out there that are open that just have no business being open at this time, and that's something that as a higher power at the higher level they need to address.
Yeah, nah, you're absolutely right, man. Like, a long time ago, my thought of essential was like cops and firefighters and hospitals. You know what I'm saying? Now, that I have some life experience, I understand that there's going to be companies like outside of those things, right? Like you work for a telecommunications company, so that shit is essential. People need to be able to make phone calls if there's an emergency or use the internet or whatever. Especially since you're telling motherfuckers to stay home,
Right.
they need their shit, right? um Food, medicine, things like that. The pharmacy has to be open, right? But you know Chuck E. Cheese is not fucking essential. You know what I'm saying?
Because they serve food,
Yeah,
right?
like you
And
said,
you
with
think
your,
about the lockdown, people can go drive for takeout.
yeah.
What? Like, so you're gonna lock everything down, but if someone gets pulled over and you're like, hey, where you going? Oh, I'm gonna go pick up my tacos.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That defeats the whole fucking purpose of this shit, man.
Exactly. And the grocery store's open. They make subs at Publix. Yeah. Do I want to eat a sub every day? No. But I also don't want my community getting overloaded with coronavirus. So we need
Dude,
to,
learn to cook.
yeah. So cook at fucking home. And yeah, I would like to have some chilies, but that's a sacrifice we have to make because there's a fucking pandemic going on.
Right. And so yeah, so you got the food chains that are open, and then the other part of it is set time frames, right? Hey, everything is open from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. for seniors, and then from 8 to 3 for everybody else. And then from 3 until 8, you spend the time cleaning, you spend the time in the house, you spend the time fucking with your family or whatever. quarantining, isolated, whatever the case may be. But I mean, there's if it's an essential company and they're 24 hours, you're going to constantly have people out on the streets. You're going to constantly have people out, looking for whatever they're looking for, walking in and out of grocery stores. The stores can't close. They can't fully sanitize, the areas. So people are walking in and just touching and spreading fucking the disease.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's worse here in Florida. It's worse here in Florida with the beaches. That's part of my problem with DeSantis. I saw a photo today from a journalist on Twitter, and the photo was taken yesterday, but it was posted today, and it was up in St. Johns County, and in Duval County, the Jacksonville area, they've closed the beaches, but in St. Johns County next door, they haven't. And so it's an aerial photo, and you can literally see the dividing line. On the Duval side, the beaches are 100% empty. And on the St. Johns County side, I mean, it looks like it's fucking spring break, And, what good is it going to be to have Duval locked down if St. John's is not doing shit, Like, I get it that people want to party. People want to go to to the beach. My son's losing his fucking mind right now because he can't do anything, but there's a bigger issue here, so people need to shut it the fuck down, man. Yeah. And again, that's leadership. Like, where the fuck is the governor? Why is he waiting for these individual mayors and stuff to say what can and can't be do? You need some leadership from the top to say, this is how it's going to be. And then that's fucking it because I said so,
Right.
Yep.
And the last thing, to E's point with a administration that doesn't believe in science, what makes you think that they're dedicating the resources necessary to finding a fucking vaccine for this shit? That's the concern that I have. Is like,
right.
Are
which
people
is a year away? Which they're saying, this guy is saying it's like, a year or more away.
At minimum, which is nasty. It's nasty.
Exactly.
It's
yeah.
nasty.
Even when this thing, a couple of weeks ago, they had a story in the news that was talking about there's a German company that's working on a vaccine. And I'm guessing this vaccine that they're working on seems like it might be promising. And Trump tried to get that company to sign like some kind of deal with the United States so we get the vaccine and then we can sell it to other countries or whatever. And it's like, dude, people are fucking dying, dog. Like, this isn't some fucking real estate deal.
Mm-hmm.
Like this guy, man, I can't stand this dude. Yeah.
I hate him, man. It's the worst.
Do you think if it pushes back, strategically, does he push back the election?
I think that's what I meant. So I was reading an article about that. If anybody, I don't know, what do you think low voter turnout or just flat out remote voting, who that benefits? Which party that benefits the most?
Low turnout typically benefits Republicans. So a low turnout would benefit them. However, given the circumstances and how much people don't like him, I wonder if that trend would be off some, just because you might have people who are like, regardless of what's happening, I'm getting out there because I got to get them out,
Right.
Like that's my stance. I don't want to go out there, but I will, to vote.
Right. Well, let me ask you this then. Say we're entering in November, right? There's still multiple strands of this going on, because we're only in the first wave of this. And I think I just heard something where some people from China that recovered got it again.
I heard about that.
Like, you heard about that, right? So I don't know if it's a different strand, the same strand, or stuff like that. So you've got polling places primarily run by people that are elderly, people using the same equipment. It's a communal thing, pens, voting booths, everything like that. The total opposite of social distancing in November. So we are hoping that there's nothing lingering that's going to have any of these counties or any of these governors or mayors saying, here's some, I don't know, restrictions, and that's going to impact the election. That's what we're hoping.
Well, so the thing is, like, you've seen with the primaries, some of these governors, like Mike DeWine in Ohio, Cuomo hasn't done it yet, but I'm pretty sure he's going to stop the New York primary that's supposed to take place in a couple of weeks here. With the general election in November, these governors can't stop the election. Trump can't stop it. It's something that's mandated by the Constitution. So the election is going to go on. It's the question is, how are we going to do it? Is it going to be like, vote by mail? Because a lot of states don't even have vote by mail. Some states you have to have a reason to vote by mail, and signature match and all this other kind of shit like that. As far as the pins thing, like you were saying, like for here in Florida, we use paper ballots, and in other states that use them too, that will be an issue, right? But this goes back to what we were talking about earlier with the leadership. So why not now, today, last week, whatever, to say, hey, fucking Bic, you need to start mass fucking producing pins like crazy. And, we're going to send millions of pins to states to say, hey, when Steve come in, you do your ballot, you throw that shit in the trash. Next person, do your ballot, throw that shit in the trash. You know what I'm saying?
I like it.
And then let the government pick up the cost for these things, because we're in this fucking emergency,
Right.
But the way that they're playing it is, like you said a moment ago, the scientists are saying, a year, maybe 18 months before we get a vaccine for this thing, right? But they're making it seem like everything's going to be okay in like 6 weeks. And that's not the case. So, like you can't piss on me and tell me it's raining. Like, we need to fucking do something and get prepared, because this thing is here, and for the foreseeable future, it's going to be here for a while. So we need to start adapting our way of life to deal with this thing, or to be able to have a way of life while this thing is here.
Yeah. And so a couple of things, and I guess the last thing really is, do you guys feel like we as society kind of needed this? Maybe not to this extent, but when I look at, people, I see lots of people out and about. I see a lot of people walking with, as families. I take Ash for a ride daily, every day. I put him in the car. We drive around. He looks out the window. We drive through the park and stuff like that, just because he gets cabin fever and he wants to get out, right? We don't get out and touch anything. I don't want to, make him at risk. But in doing that, I see people out, a lot more than ever. Just walking through the park, running through the park. Families out. People calling their loved ones and, texting their loved ones, people that are at arms, or that have been, at each other's throats, probably reaching out to one another, and families to say, hey, fuck, we're in this, we're in this together. Whatever the petty shit was that you were experiencing or pissed off about, you put that shit aside, because you just never know, right? Tomorrow's not promised. You've seen people die. You've seen people, even if they're not dying, they're struggling, right? People that are contracting this disease are going through, the worst time in their life in some of them, and so I hate to say it, but, it's kind of morbid, kind of like what I said before the Trump election, or after the Trump election, where I said, maybe a week or two before, we needed a mass shooting in one of those areas where, in a Republican area, Republican state, maybe that would have changed some things. But maybe we our society, I think, needed this, in a sense, right? I don't think we needed it to this extent, and I don't think we needed it, with Trump at the at the reins. But I think it could. I think on the other side of this, I think life changes, and we start to see a lot more humility and humanity in the world once we get past this, whenever that may be.
So I wouldn't go as far as to say that we needed it, but I think that this thing is gonna well, not gonna, it should help us in certain ways. One, like you said, putting petty shit behind you, keeping up with your people, being nice and to your fellow human being, regardless if they're your family or not. It should help us in that aspect. Another thing that I think it can help is to let people understand that there's a role for government in our lives, right? And you keep, there's this devaluing of expertise, devaluing of knowledge and education and things like that.
Right.
Did we just lose them?
Yeah, I think we lost VP's audio.
Well,
Um,
I like I I get your point completely, and I have noticed myself, like, my community. First of all, I haven't gone like more than 5 miles from my house since like the 13th of March. Is kind of weird, but
wow.
I have I've definitely seen more kids out and about. Kids that I've seen playing together that I've never seen play with each other before.
Right.
Riding bikes. Everybody's doing this like sidewalk chalk thing. Just a lot of people just walking down the street. Couples walking together. Just way more than I've ever seen. And I'm kind of still just going outside the times that I used to go outside, like early in the morning or after I would have been back from work anyway. And I'm just seeing a whole, ton of people. I understand that kids are at home and stuff like that right now, but they're definitely getting more activity unless they were an athlete. They're definitely getting more activity than they do at the schools because
Right.
there's not like really gym. Gym, I think you only have to have gym like once, one time, one semester. Um, and so, I mean, there's kids that are definitely getting a lot more activity than they used to. I think it's a lot of people are just getting more comfortable being outside, which is a good thing.
So the point I was making before we lost my audio was the second point was that there is a role for government in our lives, right? People with expertise, people with knowledge, right? The people who are going to make this vaccine, the people who are going to solve this thing, they don't have reality shows on VH1, right? They're not on Basketball Wives and Kim Kardashian and all that shit like that, and the final point that I think that this thing should really wake people up to is their debt and their personal savings, right? And the reason that, or not, that's not the main reason, but one of the reasons that the government has to send people these, checks or whatever is because people aren't working and they can't pay their bills because they don't have any personal savings and they're loaded up with debt. And, we talked offline about this, Steve and I, and I think you were in that conversation as well, E. And I was
Mm-hmm.
saying how, with me and my wife, with us being 100% debt free, like I'm experiencing this pandemic a lot differently than other people are because I'm not worried about how I'm going to pay my car or, my credit card bill or something like that because I don't have those things, right? The only things that we're worried about is where are we going to go shop for food because all the stores don't have shit. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
But other than that, we're not concerned about those things because we don't have debt and we have savings. We have an emergency fund. It's not fully funded yet, but it's close to it. And so it allows us to experience this thing a lot differently than most people in the country, and people need to wake up to that. And once we come out of the other side of this thing and they start getting their lives back together and getting things caught up, stuff that was deferred, etc., people need to really start thinking about debt and personal savings.
For sure. I applaud you for that, and it's a totally different, like, there's a stress that you just don't have, without that debt. And it's when we were talking about it offline, I said one of the biggest. It to some people it sounds crazy, but that's part of the um, metamorphosis you have to go through. But you basically, until you are debt free, you want to say, if I do not have the cash for this, then I don't get it. That's simple.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just if I don't have the cash for this, then I'm not getting it.
Right.
And if I have the cash for this and I have a debt, I'm still not getting it. I'm not getting it until this debt is paid off. It's just like those two things. It's just
Yeah.
that simple. That simple. You know what I mean? And that's
So
it.
Wants versus needs. Wants versus needs.
That's it,
right.
man.
So being in your field, right? Now is probably a great time for people that are not impacted by loss of income to try and clear or catch up on debt, because you can defer just about everything for 3 months, right? So you defer stuff and take the income where you would be paying something anyway and slam it all on, one card, or, and
Yep.
then you catch up, once you're caught up on that one after month 1, month 2, you kill another card. Month 3, you kill another card. And then when you get back to normal, where your payments are back needed for like your mortgage or whatever, you're good. You have that cushion of the 3 cards that you paid off that might be $150 each. Maybe you're saving, $500 a month at that point, if you haven't lost income. And now you can start to save and take that 500 or 400 and put it elsewhere and continue to pay shit off.
Yep. I mean, everyone is not going to have the ability to take this stimulus payment. And some people are really, a lot of people, I'm sure, are going to take it and pay food, their rent, a car payment, stuff like that with it. But if you better freaking not buy anything with it. Do not take this money and buy anything with it. That's like what I'm worried about. Like people are gonna get $1,200 or $3,400 and go buy some shit.
4
You know what
pairs
I
of
mean?
Jordan.
Yeah.
I mean, something, anything, furniture. I could get a car. This plus the other money I got, I can get a new car. Or freaking, I don't know, my Christmas shopping. I'm gonna get my Christmas shopping early. I mean, please, God, do not be that stupid. Just like if you have debt, pay it off as much as you can. If you don't have debt, save it. Just put that shit in the bank and just leave it there like you never got it.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. If you still have a job and you can still pay your bills and you're getting this money anyway, just save that shit. Don't spend it. Don't book your vacation for next year with that shit. Just,
right, because you get the email from Carnival talking about 90% off.
Yeah.
Buy one get 5 free. Niggas is like, oh baby.
They're gonna be doing that whole, you hear the IRS advertising tactics. Oh, give us your IRS return, your tax return, and we'll, just give us your return, and we'll get you a car or something like that. Just don't do that shit, man. Save the cash. Save the cash.
Yeah, man. It's trying times, man, and you just gotta hope that people are making well-informed decisions with everything that they encounter, staying safe. You still, and the saddest part about it is you still have these fucking disgusting people out there that are just, the scariest part is that you have those people that are, they're just spiteful, right? You see every day, you see a headline of somebody that, sneezed all over food, or, the fucking, Amazon driver that fucking licked the box or spit on the box or some shit. Like, come on, man. Like, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you being the person, let's say that's my camera, and I catch it. Obviously, I'm gonna send it in, but my question is now, how do I find this person? Because we got a score to settle. But
I don't understand those people, man.
part, man, is that you just have spiteful people, or you have the non-believers. I still see people, on their fucking Instagram lives having house parties and shit like that, and with their friends or their close friends or their family. Yeah, they feel great today, but do you know where the fuck they've been for the last 14 days? If you can't account for somebody for the last 14 days and don't know exactly where they've been, you probably should not be around that person.
Nah, you're 100% right, yo. I saw this nurse on Instagram who was like, "Y'all act like you can't stay away from your friends, yada yada yada." She was like, "When your people came over, you took their temperature. Did you find out where they been at, who they been around? All this kind of. Did you disinfect when they left and all? You know what I mean? And people need to understand that. This shit is serious, man. And the sad thing about it is that we keep seeing the posts like from healthcare workers saying, "Yo, stay at home because when you don't, you're putting me at risk because I got to be the motherfucker in the emergency room taking care of you when you come in with this shit, and I want to be able to go home to my family." You know what I mean? It's like I feel like emergency room people, or not emergency room people, but like doctors and nurses in general are feeling like cops. You know what I mean? Like I got to try to make it home. Like, you know what I mean? Like their job is probably top 10 fucking dangerous right now.
Yep.
And part of it,
hazard pay, man.
Yeah, and part of it is because people won't fucking stay home, man.
Bro, I feel this. I walk into a call center every fucking day, and you guys know what it's like walking into a call center and how germs, move around in those places, and you just never know.
Like who's getting coffee? Like who in your office is going to the coffee machine?
Right? The bonus for me is that I have an office, right? I have my own office. I lock the door when I leave, so I know that no one's really going in there, except for the cleaning crew to clean it. I don't drink coffee, so I don't touch that shit. If I come in contact with anything or anyone, as simple as giving somebody a piece of paper or fucking something like that, before I do anything, I hit this. We got hand sanitizer all throughout our center. We got fucking, Lysol wipes or Purell wipes all throughout our center. So we've taken every single step to make sure that our employees are safe. Not only that, we hired a company where one of the people are there for 8 hours throughout the day, and their job is specifically to start on one side of the center, and as they walk through, wipe every surface down, every hook door handle, and when they get to the other side, they turn around and come back doing the same shit. You know what I mean? So the one thing I can say is that our company's done that. We're fucking trying to social distance. We're making everything. We're trying to make it as safe as possible for fucking people, but end of the day, you still walk into it and you just don't know. You don't know if walking into the restroom, if fucking positive John just fucking walked out of there and just sneezed all over the place. You know what I'm saying? It's just that's the thing that you just, the unknowing is what's the nerve-wracking part. And also, again, knowing that there's no true cure to it, and there's no way to tell whether or not someone is going to or is not going to be fatally impacted.
And beyond what this guy is saying, everyone can't get a test. You know what I mean? You just can't get a test if you want a test. This is not true.
Yep, 100% false.
You know what I mean? I go to UCF. As soon as I hear about the kid that got it in UCF, I'm like, and then them not like disclosing what class he was at or anything. And I'm like, UCF is huge. I'm like, all right, so if UCF was a freaking cruise ship and I was, and you know what I mean? I was like, oh yeah, I was on that cruise ship during this time. They would probably say, okay, you can get a test, but because for some reason, I can't just go and get a test right now. I'm asymptomatic, but we understand that people are asymptomatic and still have it.
Yep.
So, it's just all about exposure. I have no clue if I was exposed to this person or not. You know what I mean? But,
and I think this is beyond HIPAA. I understand they're trying to protect people's, personal medical history, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But You don't have to
Right.
tell me the person. I don't need to know who had it. Tell me
Yeah.
exactly where he
What
was. Tell me
fucking
what
class was it?
he was in.
You know what I mean?
Right? He or she. Tell me. I need. I need to know. Like, did I come in
Like,
contact with this person?
like, all right, what class was it? Were there anybody in my class in those classes?
Yeah.
Or their roommates were in those classes or anything like
And
that.
even
I mean,
that's still not enough because for 14 days he might have had it before getting tested, and for 14 days he might have taken a different route to different classes and touched
exactly.
different doorknobs, and you could have touched one. I mean, there's just so much. There's so
Man,
much.
listen, all I got was, okay, but he wasn't at class. Like, he wasn't on campus. He was on campus like 2 weeks or before spring break. It was like 2 weeks. I think it was the weekend of the 13th or 14th or something like that when the article came out. And it was like, well, he hasn't been at campus since before spring break or something like that. It was like right at 2 weeks. That's right. It was the 19th, I think it was. And it's like he hasn't been at campus for 2 weeks. And I'm like, well, I haven't been at campus for like 2 weeks too. But I'm like, you know what I mean? So,
Right.
but I was there when he was like, I was there right before spring break too. What does that mean? That was like less than 2 weeks ago. It was
Yeah.
like freaking 13 days ago was the last time I was there. I could have been in the same freaking class with him, sitting right next to him, going over a freaking project with this guy. Who knows who it was? You know what I mean? So, and I haven't been isolated for 2 weeks after I was at class for 2 weeks. You know what I mean? So I don't know, man. I kind of thought I had like a little embarrassed to say, I'm like, all right, say I was kind of listening to what this guy was saying, like, okay, if you want a test, you can get a test. But that's bullshit. There's no way that anyone that wants a test can get the test.
Yeah.
Unless you're Magic Johnson or the fucking Utah Jazz, that's you can get a test then. But
Yeah,
not us.
that's never been the case. If anybody wants a test and get a test, if you go back and look, when we got our first case of coronavirus here in the United States, the United States and South Korea both got their first confirmed coronavirus case on the same day.
Yeah,
And
January 10th, right?
I'm not sure of the exact date. I know it was in January though, but it was the same exact. No, I mean, or was it February? I
No, I
don't
think
remember.
it was January 10th.
But they both happened on the same exact day. And if you look at what the two countries did, I mean, it's night and day. South Korea said, let's ramp up testing. They started testing everybody, drive-through testing, contact tracing. Okay, this person got it. Who you been in contact with? Where you been? Now we got to contact those people and then see where they've been and on, quarantine, etc. Shut everything down. And over here, we're kind of like, we'll see how it goes.
Right.
So
It's like the flu.
this shit is crazy, man.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
So what you guys have been watching?
I was gonna say, what's the binge worthy stuff, man? I've been working, so I don't have the luxury like you guys to binge. And I know you guys have been working from home too, but I've been working not from home, so I got to try to find everything.
I watched that documentary on HBO about how the Monopoly game was rigged.
Oh,
shit was crazy, man. That shit was crazy.
It's funny because I remember, when something like that came out, like on the radio or the news, and people were like, "Oh, that's just a conspiracy." You know what I'm saying? So I need to go back and watch that shit so I can see how. Was it good?
It was. Yeah, man. It was like 12 years that from the time they introduced Monopoly in 1989 through 2001, there were no legitimate winners. The whole shit was rigged, yo. Like we never stood a chance.
So there was no winner. There was no legitimate winner.
Nope. From 1989 to 2001, no legitimate winners. The whole shit was rigged.
Oh my freaking god!
The only thing you legitimately won was that large Coke or free cheeseburger.
Jesus.
All the cash prizes, none of that shit was legit.
Did they hold McDonald's accountable at all?
No, it wasn't McDonald's. What happened was McDonald's contracted out to this marketing company called Simon Marketing, and they ran the game for McDonald's. And so essentially what happened was this company were the people who came up with the idea of the Happy Meal, right? And so when they brought the Monopoly game to McDonald's, they basically sold it like, yo, it's a Happy Meal for adults, you know? And McDonald's was like, all right, hell yeah, you know? So the Simon Marketing Company, whenever McDonald's would say, okay, we're doing Monopoly, Simon Marketing was the one that handled like all the logistics, like, you know, getting the game pieces made, the security of it and things like that. And it was their guy who was like the head of security who was stealing the pieces. So the way they did it was they had this company called Dittler Brothers. They're the people who printed the pieces, except for like the cash prizes and shit, right? The $1 million, 100,000, 25,000, the Dodge Viper, etc. And so when they started Monopoly, like a week or so, you know, you have like the regular game pieces out there, free Coke, free coffee, cheeseburger, whatever. Then like about a week or so in, they would print off the cash prizes. It'll be like 30, 40 cash prizes, right? Up to $1 million, 100 grand, whatever, right? They would then come in, put those in, and they would just have the guy just toss that shit on the conveyor belt and it just goes into circulation, right? But what was happening was the security dude was stealing the pieces before they ever got to the place. And then he would swap them out with just regular pieces for like a free cheeseburger. And then he would get somebody to cash in the shit and then give him the money.
Wow. Yeah. I feel so goddamn dumb now. Like I used to fucking sit in my fucking car, like keep it separated, like light blues over here.
Like Pennsylvania Avenue. Come on, baby.
Nigga. Somebody gotta have Orient. Somebody got this.
Yeah, no, we never stood a chance, yo. That shit was rigged from the jump.
That's fucked up. What you been watching, E?
I was watching this Amazon series called Hunters, the one with Al Pacino.
We just finished that this weekend.
I did not like that shit. It was garbage. I wanted it to be good. It was not good. You guys were talking about Curb Your Enthusiasm. It's been a while since I watched that, so I started like watching a bunch of that.
I keep saying I got to get on that. I haven't done it yet.
Yo, that shit's so fucking funny, man.
It is funny, man.
Did you look up any of that stuff?
Did I what?
Did you look up any of that stuff from Hunters?
No.
You know that
the stuff that's true, like
that shit is true.
Oh yeah, I assumed that when they said that they meant it. I didn't double check. I didn't fact check them, but
I looked it up. That Operation Paperclip shit. Like we brought Nazis over here for real, who helped build the space program and shit.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah.
So fuck. What did you? Oh, Curb. Yeah, you got to watch Curb.
Yo, the scene with the talcum powder. Wait, she like
the fucking Make America getting that.
Oh my god, yeah. He's just avoiding people by wearing the hat, like getting out of like lunches with people and shit.
Dude, you gotta watch
the sushi bar. He's like, "Oh, you want to sit next to me?" He put his hat on. He was like, "Oh, we'll sit somewhere else."
And you know the one thing about it is you don't gotta go back and like I started watching just this season and I'm gonna go back after, but oh my god, man, it's so funny. It's so funny.
Yeah, I gotta check it out.
You know what I watched on Netflix? I watched The Outsider.
Oh yeah. I watched that too.
It's like basically it's like about the boogeyman kind of type of thing. You'd have to watch it to get it. The thing is, it's one of those shows where you sit and you start watching. Like for me at least, I was watching it and I'm watching it and I'm watching it, and then like every episode while I'm watching, I'm like, why am I watching this? Like, why am I stuck on this shit? Why am I continuously watching it? Did you finish it, E?
Yeah. It's
I
it's
didn't like
typical
that.
Stephen King. You either like Stephen King or you don't. You know what I mean? It's
Oh, I know what you're talking. That's the HBO show. I know what you're talking about.
yeah.
Did I say Netflix? My bad.
Okay,
No, it
yeah.
is Netflix.
No, it's on
No,
HBO.
it's HBO.
Was it HBO? Okay.
The Outsider. Yeah, that's HBO.
Yeah, you gotta watch it though. You gotta watch it.
It's pretty good.
I
Good
wish.
acting.
Yeah. The acting was good. Acting was actually very good. And what's the girl's name? The black girl from
Harriet Tubman. Forget her name.
I forgot, but damn it.
I forget her name.
But it's a good one. It's pretty good, Vari. I didn't like the way it ended though. I it's just my thing, but
Yeah.
you guys been watching anything else? Catching up on anything else?
Not been watching no Westworld. That shit after season 2. How you watching that after season 2, man?
It's good. It's a good show, man. It's a
I
good
couldn't
show.
watch that episode
Good
one.
and horrible.
This season's actually, I think this season's going to be a lot better because the storytelling is linear. It's not like chopped up, where you're seeing the past and the future and all that kind of stuff. It's just like, one straight linear line or whatever. So I think people will be able to follow this season a lot closer than they were able to in previous seasons with the whole stuff taking place in the past and then the present, etc.
Yeah, like the first season I actually liked, but then the second season it was all about trying to do basically aha with people and like, oh, this
Yeah.
person's really what were they, basically androids or puppets or whatever they were,
Yeah.
clones or whatever the hell they were. And it was like, so you were sitting there trying to figure out the entire season, like, is this person real or not?
Yeah.
They made the entire season about that, and then that crazy ass ending with them walking into another dimension. It was
like it worked in season 1 only because like when you get that reveal that Bernard is a host, it's like, oh shit,
yeah.
And it's almost like what's your boy Sixth Sense, M. Night Shyamalan, right?
Yeah.
When he made the Sixth Sense, it's like, oh shit, he was dead the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And then every other movie you watch, he tries to give you some type of big thing at the end, and it's like, dude, like that shit is not gonna work in every movie,
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. I don't watch Westworld. I don't plan on watching it. It was too slow. I don't really like slow starts. Sort of like Breaking Bad, slow. Can't do it.
Breaking Bad.
Huh?
That's a good TV, Breaking Bad, man.
I if I end up getting to work from home at some point throughout, I might try that. But I do have to catch up to the other joint on Stars. Damn, what's it called? VP with the nigga that played Sabretooth.
Oh, Ray
Ray Donovan.
Yeah. There you go, Ray Donovan.
Yeah, I need to catch up on that, and I need to catch up on the other one with what's the one that you and Mark always talking about?
Oh, Billions.
Yes. Yeah. I was loving that shit, and then I get
about
behind.
To start back up.
Once I get behind by like 2 or 3 episodes, I'm like, man, fuck this.
Yeah, it's about to start back up next month or in May, the 5th season.
Do you guys know anyone that's watched that King Tiger shit or Tiger King shit?
My wife just watched the first episode today. She didn't know it was a docuseries. She thought it was just one documentary. So she's only watched the first episode so far.
Oh, how did she like it?
She said it was straight.
Yeah,
I've heard good things about it online, but I haven't watched it yet.
See, I wonder if it's good or if people are just fucking bored.
Probably a little bit of both.
Right.
Probably a little bit of both, man.
I might give it a shot. I might check it out.
Yeah.
I might check it out.
But yeah, man, if you can watch that McDonald's thing, man. That shit was crazy, yo. Crazy. That shit. It was like The dude still in the pieces. They had like some mob ties on that shit. It was just crazy, man. And
how long is it?
it's a 6-part docuseries. Each episode is like 50 minutes.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And the shit that was so crazy about it was that the FBI office that solved it was the FBI office in Jacksonville, Florida. And the dude that, like the FBI agent at the beginning was like, you know, when you get stationed in Jacksonville, you don't expect to be getting no big cases, you know. He was like, basically, the way they ended up getting it was that they were like, at that time, they were focused on like healthcare fraud. And somebody had called in a tip, and it was sitting on the agent's desk, like on a post-it note on his computer. And they had like this rookie FBI agent who was like partnered up with like an old head. And so the rookie dude goes to the old head's desk, and he's like, you know, what's that on your desk? And he was like, it's something about Monopoly, McDonald's. I'll look at it later. You know, I don't have time for it now. And he was like, I'll look at it. And then so he calls the person who called in the tip to like get the info. And then that starts the case or whatever. And the person who called in the tip gave them 3 names. And one of them was a nickname. The other 2 was like real names. And they took that whole case from those 3 names and ended up fucking indicting like 57 people.
Damn.
Wow.
So
I might have to take a look at that. It's gonna make me mad.
That shit was crazy. I remember I had a friend when I was in high school who worked at McDonald's, and this dude used to just be in there peeling off the things off the fry containers and shit, trying to find the fucking boardwalk.
Can't there be a class action lawsuit out of all this?
That's what I'm saying.
Shouldn't there be a fucking class action lawsuit out of all this? Something?
I mean, it's probably too late now. Everything went down back in 2001, so the statute of limitations probably passed.
Fuck that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna need.
It's McDonald's. I mean, it's billions of dollars, a billion of a company.
Right? Shit.
They probably would just settle. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Free McRibs or something.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, man. But we'll see, man. I need sports back. I need sports back like ASAP.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I'm turning on ESPN and they're showing fucking. I think they're running out of documentaries. They had one today on wrestling.
Wrestling?
Yes, I'm like it was on Triple H. I'm like, yo, what?
Wow.
They never covered fucking fake wrestling. Never.
Yeah.
That shit was on.
Like they were doing okay, like while free agency was still like heated up, but now they don't got nothing to cover anymore. Like I've seen so many conversations about Tua and the draft, and it's like, dog, y'all said that already, dog. Like ESPN has nothing to talk about.
Man, think about that. Like the draft, we had talked about that before too. Kind of pie in the sky, but I was excited about the draft being in fucking Vegas. You know what I mean? And that shit is just not happening. It's just not gonna fucking happen.
Yeah. Goodell's hell bent on having it, but I don't know. I mean, it's probably gonna be him just announcing. It's probably gonna be him just announcing people
in Vegas. Like okay.
No, like he's probably gonna be in Vegas making an announcement, and then nobody's gonna be there.
Yeah, I think they said he's gonna do it from like the from an NBA studio or building or some shit remotely. So yeah, I don't even think he's gonna do it in Vegas. It wouldn't make sense for that. It's a waste of money and time.
Yeah. So
it's
gonna be interesting, man.
You know they bored. Did you see Chris Broussard? Chris Broussard freestyle. He put out a freestyle.
My god. That shit was terrible, yo.
No.
Terrible.
What the hell?
Oh my. Yeah, he went in freestyle and then he had the end he had the nerve at the end to be like bars. I'm like, dude. That shit was terrible.
I gotta look this shit up.
Oh my god, it was terrible.
Well, since I knew you would say that, I got you covered.
Okay. Yo,
I got that
in
old
my
school
absence,
flow.
it
Love
was
Bug,
kind of weird to
Starsky
see
flow,
that.
Melly Mel flow,
Hold up, E. Hold up, E.
LL flow, Run flow, KRS-One flow, Cool Mo D, better yet, Eric B. and Rakim Slim with the tilted brim like Snoop. I usually talk about alley-oops, but since they ain't playing, it's back to mic slaying. Plus, you know I'm praying. Let me stop delaying and tell you about the odd couple, me and Rob Parker. I kicks the logic, he's the fire starter. It makes for a good team, kind of like a dream. You got to tune in from 7 to 10 Eastern Standard Time. You don't want to miss it. iHeartRadio app to be specific. Sirius XM Channel 83, Fox Sports Radio. Yo, I got to go.
Oh my God.
Bars. Oh man,
That's bad. That is bad.
shit was terrible, man. Like, what are you doing, dude? Like,
That's like Fat Five Freddy or something right there.
No good. Have you guys seen on Instagram like all the DJs going on live and shit like that?
Oh yeah,
it's been dope. That shit's been real dope, man.
I've been checking out Questlove's, John.
I checked out the D Nice dude.
D Nice killed it.
Yeah, I didn't see the D Nice one. I heard he had a good one.
Yeah,
he been killing it every day.
Like, I had never even heard of D Nice, but like his seemed like it was a little bit more organic or whatever. Like, and I didn't know he was like some big dude. I thought he was just like, you know, some club guy who shit went viral, you know. But like people were popping in his, like celebrities, Michelle Obama, like, so that shit's been dope, man.
Joe Biden popped in.
Yeah.
Joe Biden, Bernie Sanders, you know, they were chasing the nigger vote.
Manny Fresh been doing it too. I sent y'all one in the chat with Manny Fresh doing one.
Yeah. D Nice was on today. Halle Berry was in there. Commenting and everything.
Yeah. So yeah, that's been pretty dope, man.
Yeah, you gotta check it out. Check it out.
Yeah. Yeah, did y'all see the like, yeah, I know how like the celebrities be getting together, like doing all of these different things. And they had one where people were singing this I think it's like a John Lennon song or something like that. It's like one of those kind of like come together type songs or whatever. Mm-hmm. And they were all supposed to sing it, and then they were going to chop it up to like it starts off with Steve, then it goes to E, then me, you know what I mean? And John Mayer was like, when they sent it to him, they just sent the name of the song. They didn't send the artist. So he thought it was this Ariana Grande song that got the same lyrics. I mean the same name.
Same title.
So it got the same title or whatever, but he thought it was the Ariana Grande title versus the John Lennon. And so he did it like singing Ariana Grande. It's talking about like got my makeup off and my lipstick and all this kind of shit. Like, yo, this shit was funny, man.
That's funny.
Yeah.
People are just bored. It's good to see. Good to see the human side of fucking celebrities too, man. Because you don't always see that shit. You know what I mean? Yeah. And now they got shit to do. They're showing that they're fucking human.
Yeah. Yep.
But, yeah, man. You guys fucking stay safe. Stay fucking sanitized. You know. Keep the ear out. If you know anybody that's a senior citizen, you can employ them to hit the stores early in the day for you, because a lot of the stores are doing the early shopping for them. That's how I got my toilet paper. My mom went in early, got me the 18 pack. So, yeah, man, stay safe.
Same, man, same.
Likewise.
If you guys don't have nothing else, nothing pressing, I will turn it over to the VP of Research to do his due diligence and get us out of here.
All right, folks, we appreciate you rocking with us, especially during these trying times. Like Steve said, man, you know, call somebody, let them know you love them, check in on them, you know, maybe reach out to a senior citizen, see if you can do some shopping for them. You know, those people are at high risk, you know. But yeah, man, we appreciate you guys joining us, rocking with us. Don't forget to like, follow, comment, share. You can find us on all your social media at CastWorthy, on Instagram at CastWorthy_podcast. And you know, do everybody a favor and stay your ass at home. So, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Yes, sir.